Okay, great. Now it's up and running. Sorry about that. I was trying to fix the technical difficulties there. I believe we are now just about live. All right. Can everybody hear me and see me? Okay. Oh, Mercy, let me put you on. Okay, let me put you on as co-host.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, I will put you on co-host here. All right, so we are live.
Sorry, my
No worries. That's to be about being live, right? Oh, I have you as co-host already. Perfect. Okay, awesome. Okay, so welcome to Poetry Love Media. I'm your host, Sheldine Altador, and we are excited to share with us here on the Mind and Gut Connection with Mercy Ballard. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes. I am happy to have you with us in this platform as you will present on a very important topic. But before she presents, I would like to first give an introduction on Mercy. So Mercy Ballard is the co-founder of Missionary, a global online community and Christian health education platform that is dedicated to connecting and empowering medical missionaries to spread the gospel message throughout the world. Following Christ's method of healing and educating, Missionary has trained several hundreds of medical missionaries since March of 2021. Mercy is also the founder of Years Restored Lifestyle. Mercy went to medical school in Mexico and has worked as an IV infusion nurse in the US for over 2 decades. When Mercy developed severe anemia and unusual symptoms of celiac disease in 2004, healthcare professionals could not find any lasting solutions to her health issues. So she embarked on her own journey for answers. This illness that almost took Mercy's life turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Wow. As it was the impetus that inspired her to continue her education of plant-based nutrition, natural remedies, and other natural healing modalities, leading to the creation of the Year Restored Lifestyle Center. Since 2013, the plant-based protocol and menus used at Years Restored have helped hundreds of clients find remission and healing. And so this is Mercy. Once again, welcome. And Mercy, before you begin, can you grace us with a word of prayer, please?
Yes, I'll be happy to. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all the blessings that you have given us. Thank you so much because you sustain us. You're the healer. You're the doctor, the only real doctor. And I just want to ask you to bless us with this lecture, that everything is being said is to glorify you, and then we follow the principles that you have given us throughout the Bible and the Spirit prophecy. And I just want to thank you that you always give us opportunities to spread your message. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Whenever you're ready, sister. And before she shares, just a quick announcement. Be sure to tune in on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern for part 2 of this topic, gut and connection. Okay, take it away, Mercy.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. This is a very important topic, and I hope I can get it right away. Sorry. Let's see. I'm going to go to PowerPoint. Gut and brain connection. Okay, so this is a very, very important topic because not many people realize it, that whatever is happening in the gut is going to affect the brain. There are so many diseases, especially mental diseases right now, and anxiety, depression, even schizophrenia, there is a relation with the gut and the brain. So I just want to show, just to make a point, show some studies about the connection. So this study shows that, let me move this. This study said, we examined the overlapping biological constructs that underpin these disorders with a special emphasis on the neurotransmitter serotonin, which plays a key role in both gastrointestinal tract and the brain. Do you know, there is another study that's coming that's showing that most of the production of serotonin happens in the brain, but this is a neurotransmitter that is needed for the brain. Okay, so this is another study that shows that, you know, that it's very important to emphasize that the gut, it is the microbiome and the gut that are super related, and also the brain, the gut, the microbiome, and the brain. So the microbiome, just, 15 years ago, you never heard or hardly heard about the microbiome. Microbiome is the bacteria, is the balance of the bacteria. Dysbiosis is when you have more pathogenic bacteria than beneficial bacteria. So this is one of the keys to understand the connection between the gut and the brain. So this study shows, however, the past 15 years have seen the merge of the microbiota, the bacteria, which we have trillions in our body, as one of the key regulators of gut-brain function, and has led to the appreciation of the importance of the distinct microbiota, gut-brain axis. So that means that, the microbiota, the bacteria, is going to be very important in order to regulate certain metabolisms in the brain. Can you believe? And this is happening in the gut, that is going to have this function. The axis is gaining ever more traction in fields investigating the biological and psychological basis of psychiatric, neurodevelopmental, age-related, and neurodegenerative disorders. So if we have an imbalance of the bacteria in the gut, is going to affect the brain. So that's the connection. That's a very important thing to understand. I just can tell you, I was helping a lady that had a lot of anxiety and depression, and her diagnosis were Hashimoto and also lupus. So now, after 3 months in our protocol, she's totally clear of the symptoms of lupus and Hashimoto, and the anxiety and depression is gone. So when you balance the bacteria, you're going to see these improvements. Another study shows that the microbiota and the brain communicate with each other, which other via various routes, including the immune system. So tryptophan metabolism, the vagus nerve and enteric nervous system. So involving microbial metabolites such as short-chain fatty acids, branching amino acids, and peptidoglycans. So the important thing to understand here is that nutrition is going to affect the brain. So nutrition, the short-chain fatty acids, all this is going to be involved in the microbiota with the brain. So it's very important to focus on an anti-inflammatory diet that is balanced, and also a diet that is going to balance the bacteria, because this is going to have very important impact. I mean, it's going to be very impactful in the brain. So the study continues. Much recent work has implicated the gut microbiota in many conditions, including autism, anxiety, obesity, schizophrenia, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease. Can you believe that? These very, very, incredibly diseases that had an incredible impact in your life, in the life of the people that suffered this. Imagine schizophrenia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. is related with the bacteria that we have in our gut. So if our bacteria is going to be very imbalanced, for example, a lot of the imbalance, which is dysbiosis, you're going to find in these type of conditions, these neurological conditions, including autism. So the emphasis here when people have issues, mental issues, neurological conditions, the important thing is going to be balancing the bacteria, because it's going to be impacting the bacteria in the gut, which is going to impact the brain. Okay, and continues here. Animal models have been paramount in linking the regulation of fundamental neural processes, such as neurogenesis and myelinating to microbiome activation of microglia. So can you see that the relationship that we can see here in neurological conditions, the microbiome in the gut? Okay, another study here is showing that it's the same study, it's the continuation of the same study. Future studies will focus on understanding the mechanism underlying the microbiota gut-brain axis in attempt to elucidate microbial-based intervention and therapeutic strategies for mental disorders. So this is, so right now the science is focusing to fix the bacteria in the gut, to bring some relief or treatments into mental disorders. And now we're going to see also brain inflammation. The human microbiota has a fundamental role in host physiology and pathology, gut microbial alteration, also known as dysbiosis. So dysbiosis, as I say early, is when you have more pathogenic bacteria and less beneficial bacteria. So it is very important to balance this bacteria. And it says it's a condition associated not only with gastrointestinal disorder, but also with diseases affecting other distal organs. So they're referring here the brain. Recently, it becomes evident that the intestinal bacteria can affect the central nervous system, physiology, and inflammation. So if you have inflammation in the gut, it's called leaky gut, leaky brain. So you have inflammation in the gut, you have leaky gut, you are going to end up having leaky brain. So this is going to affect you with different mental disorders, from anxiety to all the way to schizophrenia. Okay, and continues the study. The nervous system and the gastrointestinal tract are communicating through a bidirectional network of signaling pathways called the gut-brain axis. Excuse me. Which consists of multiple connections, including the vagus nerves, the immune system, and bacterial metabolites and products. Can you believe if, let's say, if there is disconnect from the brain to the gut, and the connection makes the vagus nervous system, which is behind the neck. So sometimes there's a disconnect. So the bowels don't move. So the peristalsis is decreased. So this connection of the brain and the gut is very important. So there is exercises to create this connection, but it's very important that the diet, which is a key to decrease inflammation and to decrease also the inflammation of the brain. So if you feed your body with good health, with good nutrition, so it's going to give good nutrition also to the brain. So this is very important to take into consideration. Going here into this study, during dysbiosis, these pathways are dysregulated and associated with altered permeability of the brain, blood-brain barrier. So that means altered permeability is leaky brain. And it's going to cause So when you have leaky brain, you're gonna have inflammation of the brain, neuroinflammation. Same thing in the small intestine. If you're gonna be dealing with leaky gut, that means that there is increased permeability of the small intestine. Then you're gonna have all kind of symptoms. You're gonna have bloating, and you're gonna start having a lot of symptoms of food sensitivities and joint pain, and then you're gonna be forgetful, brain fog. That's what we call it. So then you can tell that the leaky gut is affecting the brain because you're having increased permeability in the blood-brain barrier, which is the leaky brain. And serotonin, do you know that serotonin is a neurotransmitter in the brain, but this is produced 90% of the body's serotonin is, however, is produced in the intestine. And there is a bacteria that is related to this metabolism, and then is the production for the brain. So serotonin is the hormone that's going to produce the melatonin. The melatonin is the hormone that you sleep and rest well at night. Is the healing hormone. A lot of people call it the healing hormone because it does many things. So it's the hormone when you're sleeping. So that's why it's very important to go sleep early, so you can have the production of this hormone. But if you don't have serotonin, because your gut is not producing, is being affected, then you're going to suffer because you won't be able to sleep well because there's not enough melatonin. You're going to have health issues because the melatonin is reduced. So it has a lot of implications. Also, we see that here we demonstrate that the microbiota plays a critical role in regulating host 5-HT, means serotonin. Indigenous spore-forming bacteria from the mouse and human microbiota promote serotonin biosynthesis. We see the relationship here that we're producing the serotonin, this neurotransmitter in the brain, but it's produced 95% is produced in the gut. So if our gut suffering, if we have inflammation, and if a leaky gut, so the production is going to decrease. So that's going to affect your brain. Tryptophan. Recently, a number of microbial metabolites are referring as a neuroactive metabolites produced through tryptophan metabolism has been suggested to influence GBA. In view of this, the current studies focuses on microbial tryptophan metabolism. So the microbes, the bacteria, is also linked to somehow the production of the tryptophan, which is the happy hormone. The analysis, so here is showing what bacteria or what microbes are involved into the, see here, having predicted. If you have, depending the amounts, the quantity of certain bacteria is going to be associated with the amount or the production of tryptophan, the metabolism of the tryptophan. So this is very important. So I just want to show you these studies just to make a point how important is the microbiome. I'm gonna pin myself. Okay, how important is the relationship of the microbiome, gut, and brain? Okay, so I'm just going to explain a little more. How do you balance the microbiome to decrease the leaky gut, decrease leaky brain? Because if you have a lot of inflammation, it's because you have an imbalance of the bacteria. That means you have a lot of pathogenic bacteria. And so we want to balance this bacteria. So how do you balance this bacteria, which is important? Balancing the bacteria, you're going to, your symptoms of brain fog are going to decrease. So this is very important. So how do we do this? So I had a class, I had a 10-day program just finished yesterday. So we had a class on microbiome on Monday night. And so we were talking about is the probiotics the answer? Anybody? You can type down. Do you feel that the probiotics are the answer? So it's very, very important to note that actually the foods that we eat are what is going to heal our brain. So the way we do it here at Just Restore Lifestyle Center, what we do is that we do a fast for a period of days. And then after the fasting, and we do enemas to remove the pathogenic bacteria and do a good cleansing, because, you know, when we don't eat right, we eat a lot of processed foods and we eat a lot of inflammatory foods, we're going to create a very unbalanced bacteria. So what we do a cleansing for a few days, and then we start feeding the good bacteria. So what we do is we give them all the foods at the beginning are going to be raw foods with a lot of fiber. It's 100% fiber. Every meal is 100% fiber, just to replenish the bacteria. So what we do is the fiber is a prebiotic that is going to feed the bacteria. So that is the key. Fiber foods feed the good bacteria. So that is what we're going to base our foods. But if we eat processed food, most of those processed foods, they remove the fiber. So then it's going to be very unhealthy for the bacteria. So then we're going to have an unbalanced bacteria. So it's very important to note. I'm not sure if everybody's here or my internet is down.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay. So what I was saying, that it's very important also to have hundreds of species of bacteria. Because if you take probiotics thinking that the probiotics are going to fix your bacteria, you know, think again, because the probiotics have billions of the same species of bacteria. So what we need is hundreds of species of bacteria in large amounts, but hundreds instead just few, because the best probiotic has 3 to 24 species, you know, and the regular probiotics have very, very few species of bacteria. So what we want is hundreds of it. So if we take probiotics, it's gonna be causing an imbalance. So we definitely want to eat a variety of different type of fibers, because the fiber foods, the variety, different fibers feed different bacteria. So the more variety we eat, the more bacteria, species of bacteria we're going to have. So, but we don't want to eat variety of foods at the same time. But we want to, you know, every day we need to rotate our foods, our vegetables, our cereals, our legumes, have a variety throughout the week. So that's very important to do in order to balance the bacteria. So that's one of the things that we do. Another thing is to decrease the inflammation in the gut, to decrease the chances of you to have leaky brain, is that eating anti-inflammatory foods, only anti-inflammatory foods. So we do a whole plant-based that is balanced, because you can eat whole plant-based very unbalanced, and so it's very key that the food needs to be balanced, anti-inflammatory, and then things are gonna change. And especially there's people, when you have leaky gut, serious leaky gut, you're gonna have a lot of food sensitivities. So it's very important to determine what foods you are reacting to. So then you can eliminate those foods, at least for a time, until the leaky gut issue is fixed. And then you reintroduce some of the foods. Some of foods we won't be able to introduce it, because have created a memory in the immune system. So if you have created this memory cell in the immune system, you know, your body is gonna attack again. So we wanna be sure that this is well taken care. So another important thing is, what are the servings of the foods for the day that we need to eat? So there is to eat a balanced plan in order to be anti-inflammatory, it's very important to have the right servings and throughout a day, the right servings of the different food groups. So for example, I'm just going to give you an example of healthy breakfast and example of healthy lunch. For a healthy breakfast, we always have some type of cereal. And we try to do 0 grams that are very easy to digest for people that are sick. So we like the amaranth, and then rotate with quinoa and buckwheat. There is a new 0 grains that I like it a lot. I grew up with that, but it's kind of, many people don't know it about it. This in the US, and it's called cañiwa. So the cañiwa is actually super high in proteins, super nutritious. So that's what we do for breakfast. We do the fibers through the cereals, and then we do a smoothie. In the smoothie, we have fruits like berries, because the berries are very high antioxidant. And then we put an apple. The apple remove even heavy metals, very important to have in a smoothie. And then we want to balance out with some fat. So we put either sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds that we soaked overnight. And we put some carob into the smoothie, because carob is so good for the gut. It's very healing for the digestive system, and it's so tasty. Then we put a little of coconut to give a good flavor, and so we just blend it with a small amounts of water, and so that's the smoothie. And then we make our own bread, because everything we do is from scratch. We want to be sure everything is taken care from every angle. Otherwise, people don't improve. We want to be sure people improve. So that's what we do. We cook from scratch. We don't eat anything that's processed, anything that has a bunch of labels, different ingredients in the labels. We do not eat that. So we prepare our foods from scratch to be sure that they're all clean. We eat a lot of organic foods. And the reason is, again, what kills the microbiome, what kills the bacteria is the pesticides, the herbicides, the glyphosate, the GMOs. So some people have no chance to survive or to improve because they're eating these foods that are destroying the bacteria. So that's why we try to incorporate foods growing in your own garden. If you don't have a place to grow your foods, you at least put in pads and put your herbs especially. So that is very important. Okay, somebody's asking, what is the fourth pseudogram? I'm gonna type it.
Yeah, so we have a question from the audience.
I'm gonna grab.
Oh, it's okay, no worries.
Some water.
Okay. So we'll wait for that. And the question is asked here: amaranth, buckwheat, quinoa, and what was the fourth grain? Okay. She will get back, when she gets back, she will mention the fourth grain. Thank you for your question. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah, I was just swallowing wrong, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what was the question? I typed cañiwa, that's the fourth pseudograin.
Cañiwa, K-A-N-I-W-A, cañiwa. Is this an ancient grain?
This is a pseudograin. There's a distinction between pseudograins and grains. And the grains grow in grass. The pseudograins do not grow in grass. So it's different type of group of foods. And so we eat these pseudograins because they're easy to digest. They're super high nutritious foods. So it's not the same as quinoa. Somebody's asking if it's the same as quinoa. It's not the same as quinoa. It's very tiny, it's dark, and I love it. It tastes pretty good. But it's similar to quinoa. It takes longer to cook also. Yeah. So that's what we eat for breakfast. So then we make our own bread. It's flat bread. We don't put any yeast because the yeast are linked to some autoimmune disorders, and we focus on autoimmune disorders. So we don't, in the yeast, a lot of are related to GMO foods. They make grow in a, in a way that is linked to GMO. So we don't do yeast. It's linked to Crohn's disease, especially. And so we make flatbreads out of buckwheat and quinoa, sometimes amaranth, and then we make our own butter. And our butter is made out of coconut. We have a butter made out of sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds. So yeah, we definitely, sometimes we do. There's one butter that is so tasty. I just make it recently. I went to this lady's house. It was a family of dentists. So a friend told me she has all kind of, devices for cooking. I wanted to try it out. So I went and she had this super big machine, very powerful machine that is kind of like a blender and also it's a food processor. So I said, can I make you a butter? And she said, yeah. So we put some shredded coconut there, like 2 cups of shredded coconut, and just process it for, I think it was a minute because it's a powerful machine. And then I added 2 cups of cashews and processed it and made a butter, and then added 1 teaspoon of salt. So it was so tasty. And she said it tastes like peanut butter. So it's a healthy way to eat peanut butter. So so we do butter. So that's the breakfast. So it is a bread and butter and cereal and the milk for the cereal in the smoothie. So this is a balanced breakfast because it's very high in nutrient, and you're supposed to eat breakfast as a king, right? So then we eat a balanced lunch, and the balanced lunch, you should always have some type of legume, and we have these legumes that are very easy to digest for people that are sick, and we figured it out that the easiest to digest are the white beans, even black beans, but not the pinot beans or the red beans. They have a lot of lectins, they're very, very hard to digest. So people get bloated, so we don't use those. But lentils, for the most part, people can tolerate. Also mung beans, they are easy to tolerate. And so we use a legume, and then we use some type of starch. It can be sweet potato or yuca, or can be also malanga. It's an Asian root. We don't use nightshades for a time until the leaky gut is solved. And we can do a pseudograin also for lunch, and a big salad. A lot of vegetables, a big salad. So that's a balanced lunch. And you rotate, you don't eat the same beans every day, or, a lot of people eat for breakfast oats every day, and, you get sick with that because the grains, you're supposed to cook them for several hours. Sister White said should cook for several hours. So when we eat it every day, because we're not rotating, and then it's, people are very sick. Some people are very sick that eating oats every day. And so that is what we call it, a balanced breakfast and balanced lunch. And since every day we're rotating foods, then it's feeding the good bacteria and multiplying them. So people can turn around in a few days and start feeling much, much better, because the bacteria in 24 hours can start changing if you do that. And we do like to eat the foods that are anti-infective, like a garlic and onion, that is gonna destroy the bad bacteria and build the good bacteria. So we do that every day. That's the therapies that we do. We call it our therapeutic protocol. So we do it for lunch, for example. We do two 2 cloves of garlic with juice of 1 tablespoon of lemon juice and 4 ounces of water, blend it and drink it with breakfast and lunch also to balance the bacteria, especially if we try to do the low sugar fruits to feed the good bacteria when we're sick. So that way, some people say, oh, we're not supposed to eat liquids and for meals, which is true, but this is the minimal amount of liquid in order for people to be able to drink it. Otherwise, people start throwing up and things like that. So that's what we do, and that has really worked for our clients. We had a lady that had arthritis. She was in so much pain. She could hardly get out of bed for 2 years. So when she left yesterday, she was telling me that she worked from the parking lot to the airport. I was thinking, well, how come they didn't drive her to the front of the airline, right? But I was just amazed that she was able to walk that long. And when she called me, she was pretty happy. But it's hard work. You have to make a huge change in your diet. You have to definitely remove all these all inflammatory diets with no fiber. They are refined foods and very unbalanced and ultra processed that causes an imbalance of our bacteria. So switch it to the opposite, and then your health starts changing. So this is a very powerful thing to do. So what we say when people are sick, we say, okay, there's 3 things: inflammation, leaky gut, and imbalance of the bacteria when you're very sick. So how do we change this? Anti-inflammatory foods, then focus on fixing the leaky gut, which we use aloe vera and onion broth, and then fix the bacteria, which we do it the way we eat with large amounts of soy. It's a very simple concept. And this is, these are God's ways of eating, right? It's the plant-based, and God didn't create the chemicals and the foods that right now it's just not food anymore. These are chemicals that we're eating. So it's destroying our system, is destroying our body. And so this is the 3 most important things to regain health. And so we do a lot of natural remedies, but the natural remedies are the ones that help us relieve the pain, the suffering, but these are not fixing the main problem of your health. So the main issue is the food. So the emphasis should be the food. So it's very important to focus on your food. So I don't go, focus our therapists on natural remedies, because it might decrease whatever discomfort somebody must be having, and it's going to help right away. But how about the chronic issues that people are having? They're only going to change if you change the way you eat, if you balance. So that's our focus, is changing the way we eat. So that's what our emphasis. So what we do is we teach them every day. When they come for 10 days, we teach them every day 2 hours how to prepare the foods. And then we focus on the foods, how to combine the foods and how to make it totally anti-inflammatory, how to prepare foods with absolutely 0 processed foods. And so that's the key. And we seen people just turning around. There was this lady that came, she said that after eating, she will get so tired that she just couldn't think well, and she didn't have any energy. And she could hardly have energy. But she says since this last Sunday, because we figured out what foods we needed to remove for her, and because sometimes it's the protein, some certain protein that is people are reacting. So we figured it out. 2 foods were removed, and finally everything changed. She didn't feel this tarnish right after eating. So we see these changes just through the food, not to supplements, not to remedies is to changing the way we eat, because those remedies, we use it all the time, but this is not going to fix the problem. So remedies we were doing is a lot of people were coming with headaches because they're detoxing. So we had to do remedies for the headaches. Some people are having cramps, and then we do therapies for the cramps, and they're fine, after we do natural remedies, but they're all fine, but that's not going to fix the problem. So that's the focus. The focus had to be an anti-inflammatory food, an emphasis fixing the leaky gut, and an emphasis fixing the bacteria, which it doesn't take that long. People can start feeling improvements pretty soon. We had a lady, stage 4 cancer. She had breast cancer. Actually, the tumor was pushing the bone in the chest. So we, doing all our therapies, and also putting charcoal poultices in the areas in her back, because she had a also tumor in the chest, and she had tumor in the stomach also, poor lady. And when she left, she left pretty strong. Not I'm not going to say the tumor was gone, the cancer was gone, because it will be impossible for this to happen in 10 days. God can make a miracle, do a miracle, but in general, things take time, right? If you have a stage 4 cancer, it's going to take longer if it's God's will to cure you, right? Sometimes the cancer is too advanced, but we have seen people just changing the bacteria. People even with advanced cancer had recovered. So this is a very important thing to focus on the bacteria. And I have a friend that came here to Dietary Store to train, and she was here for several months, and she went back to Peru, and she's working right now in a hospital with mental illness patients. She's I think she's, clinician, mental clinician. So she's working in the hospital with very severe advanced schizophrenia. So she's applying this into their clients, the diet, changing the diet. And guess what? She sent me a picture. Here are my patients that are recovering from schizophrenia, doing all this. Why? Because, it's the connection from the gut and the brain, right? So if we don't give the right nutrients to the brain, of course, we're going to suffer. And, if we're not producing these bacteria, they create these super elements that give you a super good function on the brain, then you're going to suffer. But all that can be changed. So that is the blessings that God has given us, that these things can change. So if you have any questions, we can go to the questions. I just want to give you a very practical way to information to recover your health. So
okay, awesome. We're gonna leave an extra 10 minutes for questions. And also, if anyone has any further questions, where can we reach you, Mercy? Where can our viewers contact you?
Well, we have a jeffreystore@gmail.com. You can just find me there. I'm going to type it, jeffreystore@gmail.com. So so we have the 10-day program, and that we only do 5 programs a year because they're super busy and take a lot of work and a lot of preparation. So we complete the last program for the year. So our next program is going to be in January, but we are doing the Missionary with the same principles that we do at Dietary Store. We teach at Missionary. The only difference is that we do not include detox at the Missionary, but all the foods and all the principles, all the protocols. There's so much to learn. So we have all this training, Missionary. So we have trained probably about 800 people so far, just in a short over a year. And these medical missionaries are experiencing amazing things. They're teaching these principles to other people, which these are principles that God has given us through the Spirit of prophecy in the Bible. So they're experiencing amazing peoples. If you go to our Missionary YouTube, I have interviewed several people in Spanish and English, because we have this program in these two languages. And you see amazing results with these simple principles. I think we have deviated from what God has given us and have not been following all these principles, so everybody's sick. But we are to be the head. And the good news is that we can recover and we can come on board and do God's work and bring relief to people that are suffering. But there is another question. Please talk about the food sensitivity test using feces. Okay, so as a stool test, I actually did the microbiome test, and I was 96% in good health. But I was lacking one bacteria. It was a lactobacillus. It was almost non-existent. So, and the reason is because I was not eating certain foods that promote the growth of the lactobacillus. So, in our case, will be cabbage. You should include cabbage a couple times a week, at least every week. That promotes the lactobacillus. So, but the test that we like is the food sensitivity test. Is called enterolab.com. I'm going to type it, enterolab.com, and the test is B2C2. It's pretty expensive, but you'll be surprised if you're sick, you don't know what it is. If you do the test, you'll realize, oh, I'm reacting to these foods. So when you stop those foods, usually the symptoms are gone, unless you have very advanced leaky gut and you have to follow our protocol and our menu, and you can do that through Missionary. It's missionary.com, and you can subscribe. We just started the 18th of September, our ninth session. And so we're in the middle of it. So you'll have to wait till November. It's the third Sunday of November, the next class. So that will be something to think about it. And you don't just learn about the how to eat and the protocols, but you learn the science behind it. So you learn about microbiome, about leaky gut, about super healing foods and all that Dr. Joyce, she did all those videos. And then there is videos on how to prepare these foods, because everything's from scratch. This is a lost science, right now it's so we have videos how to prepare the foods. Also, we have the spiritual part, and we have also the health and the pioneer work, and also we have the how to be a coach. We teach you how to help other people, because we're supposed to be medical missionaries. So God also wants to give us, support us, right, financially. So you can do that too. So Barney saying, what can I use in your recipes in place of coconut? Because I think I'm sensitive to that. Good question. I have a lady that came, that she's training to work in a lifestyle center. Actually, she's going to be the medical director of lifestyle center. She couldn't eat coconut. So instead coconut, it's going to depend on the recipes. It's not like in every recipe you're going to just replace it. Sometimes if it's milk, for milk, you will have to do something like sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds milk. We have it in the book, in our autoimmune, the plant-based autoimmune cookbook. It depends the recipe. What recipe are you thinking? You can type it in there so we can answer. Another question is, in the missionary class training or just in person? No, it's online. The missionary training is online, so people come. Yeah, we have we had a group. It's kind of a small group for us. I mean, we trained about 30 people this time. We had as big as 150 people group So we have a lot of people that have trained. And our Spanish class is growing, it's almost passing the English now. So it's a super blessing having we have a lot of dietitians taking our course from the Adventist University of Peru. And then we have dietitians from Colombia that have studied in Peru in the Adventist University. We have people from Mexico, from the US, and the Spanish, and so we have Mexico. So we have people from different countries. So it's been a recipe. It is, so Bonnie said, it's the next recipe. Okay, so I made the waffle 2 times. Okay, it's good, but the waffles don't take, I don't have the book with me. They don't take it don't take coconut, right? Maybe you're talking about the what do you do in the case of the, maybe the smoothies, because the smoothies, you put coconut. We just don't do it. We just remove it. Most of the recipes, if you're sensitive to something, you just don't use it. Sometimes you have to replace with something, but not usually. For example, there's recipes like you do a mousse to put in your waffles. You just use, you could do with sunflower seeds instead the coconut. Put a good amount of avocado, because the avocado makes it really soft, the consistency. And then you put a carrot, all that. So it really, really tastes very good. But I done it with sunflower seeds. Some people can eat sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds. A lot of people cannot even do that if they have very advanced food sensitivities. Okay, yeah, so it's the carrot mousse. Okay, so I just answered that. And
perfect. That is awesome. And I love carrot pudding. We love carrot. It's one of our staple foods added to what we make, different things. And does anybody else have any questions for Mercy before we close? I thank you for your questions, and Mercy, I've been enriched by your presentation. We learn every time, and we're reminded each time as well. So that is amazing. And it's amazing how God has brought you from a long way in your health journey. And now God has used that in turn for you to bless others so that they could be restored to health, not just only physically, but mentally. I think of the verse 3 John 1:2. Remember, we know this verse, we hear often, I wish above that you may prosper and be in good health, even as thy soul prospers. We want a healthy body and a healthy mind, right? So there's hope, right? There's hope for our viewers, right? Any closing thoughts you have for us, Mercy? Any encouragement for our viewers?
Yeah, if you're not used to cook and you don't like cooking, you pray that God gives you the desire to cook and the desire to do this work, and to give you not just the desire, but the excitement to cook, because God can do that. And then for God to give you the wisdom to know how to prepare healthy foods, because for these times that we live in, we're not eating the way it was healthy 30 years ago. Right now, with all the toxicity that was dumped, with all these staple foods, advanced staple foods, that the devil is really out to destroy God's people. These super healing foods that God gave us, now that the devil has destroyed them through GMOs and glyphosate and pesticides and all that, with high, changing the way it was, the way agriculture used to be. So we had to, grow. The health message is progressive. So as things change, we need to keep up with this. So we definitely need to put our hands in the kitchen. And God is going to give you that desire, because myself, I didn't cook until I was 49. And I never cared for cooking, never wanted to cook, never wanted nothing to do with cooking. But when I read the passage in the Spirit Prophecy that said that girls at 9-year-old, they should cook a full meal. And I'm like, oh, I'm so behind. So that day I started cooking, and I just did not just cook because I had to cook, because God says so. but because I really, God gave me the excitement to do this and the excitement to develop even recipes when I never cooked in the past. And so for me, it has been a very, very joyful journey. And God can do this for everybody that is willing to follow his ways. So I just want to encourage everybody, there's hope, and God wants to give us these amazing gifts of full recovery.
Amen. Well said. Thank you, Mercy, for that. I was tremendously blessed, and I thank you so much for taking the time to present this such much needed topic. And for all our viewers, please sure to subscribe to Med Missionary YouTube channel. And also, I'm just going to repeat the website she typed earlier in the chat for the sake of our viewers who don't see the chat. I also posted the chat in the YouTube link as well. It's medmissionary.com. Is that correct? Medmissionary.com. Perfect. Yes. And so, can you grace us once again with a closing word of prayer? Please.
Yes. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all the blessings that you have given us. Thank you because even though we're living in a time that is a survival time, you give us all the tools that are needed to be healthier than ever and stronger than ever, because you need us to be healthy to finish your work, because there is so many suffering and more conditions are going to happen. As you said in Matthew 24, and we want to be faithful, learning and growing in knowledge so we can help other people, help all the suffering, and bring people to your feet. So I just want to ask you to bless this group that has been involved in this program, and that you give them double blessings as they're interested and follow your ways. Thank you so much for everything. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And as they say in Spanish, que Dios te bendiga.
Que Dios los bendiga a todos. Gracias.
Gracias. Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.